The next question first to Sam Graves from Dave Helling.
Congressman, in the last Congress, you voted for a farm bill renewal that the White House called welfare for farmers. Even some conservative publications characterized it as welfare for farmers, particularly at a time when commodity prices were at all-time highs. Yet you did vote against expanding the Children's Health Insurance Program, which you suggested was socialistic. Why is it okay for the government to protect farmers, but not okay for the government to try and protect children who are ill?
Well, the Children's Health Insurance Program, what is being offered is an expansion up to $80,000 a year for families making that. That's too excessive. The Children's Health Insurance Program is designed for those folks who can't afford insurance for their children, and it is continuing as it was. And I would be very open to a small expansion, but not a massive expansion like families making $80,000 a year. The Farm Bill, the President was wrong. The nice thing about the Farm Bill is the majority of it decouples when prices are high. It's not needed. It's a safety net. It is not a hammock. And you know, the neat thing about it is it's really consumer food policy is what it is. We have the safest and most affordable and most abundant food supply in the world. And there's nowhere else in the world where you pay less than 10% of your disposable income on food. Nowhere. We get the chance to take our food supply for granted in the United States. And that's one of the neat things about our country. And there's a reason for it. It's because of our consumer policy, because of farm policy that stabilizes these prices. Every single person in this country depends on agriculture 3 times a day, whether they realize it or not. And people like the President are just flat out wrong. It's because of that safety net and the reason we design it to decouple in those periods of good time. And the unfortunate part is you don't always have that. In agriculture, we do everything backwards. We buy all of our inputs at retail and sell all of our output at wholesale. And then you throw the weather in there. So we're price takers on both sides of the equation. So we don't get the opportunity to choose what the price is on either side. And that's the reason we have stability in our agriculture and food markets.
Kay Barnes.
One correction in what Sam was saying. He uses that $80,000 example. As I said a few minutes ago, his own Republican senator colleague, Senator Grassley, has discredited that and said that there is absolutely no truth to it. In terms of the farm bill and also farming in Northwest Missouri, as everybody in this room knows, it is such an important part of our nation and certainly of this immediate area. As I have been in the district talking with farmers for the last 18 months, it is clear that there is continuing dissatisfaction with their representation in Congress and also wanting to take a fresh look at farming as an industry. The reality is, as you drive through Northwest Missouri, you'll see acre after acre after acre of land not under production. And I understand about conservation and all of the other issues that are important to consider. But I also know that with a food shortage around the world and even a food shortage in this country, that we have to take a fresh look at farm policy. So I look forward to working with the farmers in this district to do so, to come up with some fresh, creative approaches so we can maximize our food production in this country.
The next question to Kay Barnes from Lisa Carter.
Mrs. Barnes, polls show a majority of Americans support embryonic stem cell research. Where do you stand on that issue and why?
I support stem cell research. I think it is critically important for the future of our children and grandchildren, and hopefully even for people who are older today, because it will provide answers for chronic illnesses that we will not be able to realize in any other manner. So I join with the majority of people in Northwest Missouri who support stem cell research. I think it is extraordinarily important to improve lives and in many cases to save lives.
Sam Graves.
I don't support embryonic stem cell research, but I definitely support adult stem cell research. And I think the technology is pretty well going to outpace the political aspects of this issue. You're seeing some fascinating things taking place right now in cell reprogramming and some of the cord blood cells that are being used and just the whole area of adult stem cell research, and I think it will far outpace the political aspects of this issue and turn it into really a non-political event. But I do not support embryonic stem cell research.
The next question first for Sam Graves. As recently as last night, the Libertarian candidate for president on PBS's The NewsHour called for the elimination of both the Education Department and the Energy Department, and especially at a time when you both agree that federal spending needs to be reined in now more than ever. Which federal agencies would you eliminate and why?
Well, obviously, we don't want to eliminate the Department of Energy. That's obviously one of the biggest things that is facing the country right now when it comes to our energy policy, and we've got to continue this push to be able to, obviously bring all of the above back into play. We need coal power, we need nuclear power, we need solar power, we need wind power, we need more drilling, new drilling in ANWR in the Gulf of Mexico and the Outer Continental Shelf and those shale regions. We need old drilling, we need new refineries, we need more alternative fuels, biodiesel, ethanol, we need new technology. All of these things, which the Energy Department is working very hard to try to bring about. Obviously, the Department of Education is something that, flat out, is trying to do the best they can for our children. And, one of the things, obviously, they are in charge of is looking after those aspects of it and implementing the education bills that are out there, which Congress has failed to do its job and renew. For instance, No Child Left Behind, which is unfortunate because there definitely needs to be some changes in No Child Left Behind. But that's the fact of the matter is Congress is not doing its job, and they are not bringing a bill forth to do that. And that's obviously one of the problems is Congress is not giving the Department of Education the tools they need.
Is there an agency you'd do without?
At this point, I haven't called for one. I haven't pushed any legislation for any.
Kay Barnes?
Well, I'm glad to hear Sam acknowledge that Congress is at fault, since he is a member of Congress. Your question was about eliminating departments. I would not propose doing that at this time. I do anticipate, however, that there will be a reorganization, particularly with the Democratic administration and Congress. I think that will be very important as we are involved in shifting priorities. Energy and education, the two that you mentioned, happen to be two of the ones that I think are most significant for our future. So those would not be two that I would be interested in eliminating. I think there may be some consolidation, but that will come after a very thorough assessment of where we are as we move into this new administration.